Good morning. State legislators could soon be reuniting to tackle some specific issues in a special session at the Capitol. CT Insider columnist and senior editor Dan Haar is here to talk about what they're expected to consider, as well as some other things happening in Connecticut politics. Welcome.
Good morning.
We had you here to talk about a special session, and we're going to start with saying there might not even be a special session.
There may be no special session. Remember, we started in the spring thinking it would be August or September. It's then morphed into October, and it may not now happen because the underlying issues, which really is what people care about. Nobody cares whether there's a session or not. We got plenty of sessions coming in the spring. The underlying issues are interesting.
So we're talking, it would have been housing, if it happens, it's housing, federal, the impact of federal cuts, and immigration. And because of those three topics is why it might not be needed, right?
Correct. Quickly on housing, as we recall, the governor vetoed the housing bill that the Democrats passed, upsetting the Democrats, pleasing the Republicans. And he said, I'll spend the summer getting a new bill that everyone will be happy with. And well, guess what? Summer's over, and yes, summer's over, and there's no housing bill, right? And there's really, frankly, I don't think there's a prospect of a housing bill anytime soon. It could emerge, but this is hard stuff, and they're not going to want to do it in an election year. So that's housing. Then you have immigration, in which the policy is right now in place that ICE shouldn't or can't come into state courthouses. But, you know, do you want to really codify that in law? Chief Justice Mullins met last week with the governor and announced the policy. No masks, no coming into state courthouses. You know, ICE does what ICE does. So do you really want to make a law that makes Trump say, I'm going after Connecticut? I don't know.
And then the third piece is the impact of cuts to Medicaid and SNAP food benefits. If we don't know what they are, it may be too soon.
We don't know the numbers. A lot depends on what happens in the next few days with the government shutdown. There's, you know, how that agreement shakes out, assuming there is one. And those numbers will come out more slowly than people had thought. Some people in the state want to set aside money. We know we're losing some money. Let's set some aside. Let's adjust the guardrails a little bit so that more money flows into there rather than there. Other people want to say, let's wait and see.
If there's not agreement or consensus on these issues, then you just punt until the session's back in 2026.
Correct. And of course, the issue there is it's an election year with a February start, so it's a short session. So it's going to be harder to get anything done. But nobody really loves a special session if you're the governor, especially because anything can happen.
And you're there, and we'll see what happens. Speaking of the governor, there's been a lot of question about the governor and if he'll run for a third term. You have patented the term, the Haar runometer.
I don't think anybody's competing with me for the Haar runometer, yes.
But tell us where the Haar runometer comes in this morning.
99%.
Wow, very confident.
I think we were up from 81 the last time, 83, right? There was still some doubt. He's running.
So, but tell me, your evidence is in your inbox, right?
Yeah, right. We were talking about this. On Wednesday, September 10th, the governor had an unbelievable day in which he established a new office of the mental health advocate. He named the new manufacturing czar. He had two flag lowering announcements, which we know about. He appeared with the veterans. It was this like all-in-one day.
And when you, as a reporter and a columnist, see those press releases coming into your inbox,
running.
If he was preparing for a lame duck year, he wouldn't be that busy.
No, there was money, too. I forget who it was, but somebody got a bunch more money, and it was a group that mattered. So, and it wasn't just that day. I happened to run into the governor, you know, just in passing after a press conference. We were talking, and I mentioned something about tolls. I was a pro-tolls guy in 19 and 20, and he gave up on tolls. And I said, tolls coming back? And he goes, no, that's Josh Elliott. He's referring, of course, to his Democratic primary opponent.
So he hasn't said it, but he's gonna.
He's gonna.
Tell us about some other things that are happening. Chris Murphy continues to be a lightning rod for comment based on how he's talking about Trump and the Republican Party. Tell us about that.
The phrase "by any means necessary," which he used last week, was specifically a touchstone. And they, you know, by any means necessary, does that mean violence? Well, when the president says we need to beat the hell out of the radical left, does that mean violence? And so they're saying that he's going over the line. Some Democrats are concerned that he's pushing too hard rhetorically. I got a call from a Democrat during the week that said, if he's pushing and pushing and pushing, where's his action? Where are his rallies? And of course, he did go to red state districts, which could help a lot in the midterm elections. But he's saying let's hit the streets. But if you call up his office and say, what's going on? He's not organizing anyone hitting the streets. So some people are critical of that. So he's getting it from both sides.
He has national ambitions.
I don't think there's any doubt. But on the other hand, A, it's a crowded field. And B, as I've said often, he's only really ever been a legislator in his life as
not
a career.
Chief executive.
I would like to see him run a university or a state, this one, if he wants to be president. But Obama didn't have much administrative experience either, so maybe I'm wrong on that.
I want to talk about your reporting. You did a lot of
Yes.
writing this week about the UConn health system and maybe buying some other hospitals. Tell us about that and how it might work.
Yes, UConn would like to be a health care system, a hospital system, to compete on price, not size, on price and quality with Hartford Healthcare and Yale. They believe that the route to get there is in their lap now with this bankruptcy sale that includes Waterbury Hospital. They're not interested. They bid on Waterbury Hospital during this past week. They put in a bid, I think, Wednesday or Thursday, and they are going after that big time. That would more than double the size of John Dempsey, which is the Farmington-based hospital, as part of the health center. They also would like to either affiliate or buy Day Kimball in, it's not Kimball, Putnam. I don't get up there enough. And Bristol Hospital in, drum roll please, Bristol.
That one we can do off top.
And so what they're saying is not just we want to get bigger, but we want to make it possible for people on their health insurance annual bills to have a lower bill. We think we can lower your health insurance by giving a lower cost alternative. That's their ambition. And they've been doing very well on quality measures. They, of course, have a subsidy from the state, thus the debate about the debt.
Only about a minute left, but I want to ask you, the people who are objecting to that are also objecting to Connecticut pension funds being used to buy a minority share of the Connecticut Sun.
Yeah, what do you know? You have two of a kind. You have two assets here. One is Waterbury Hospital and the other two. The other is a basketball team that normally the private sector owns. And some people in the state, including the governor, would like for the state government to have an ownership stake, and that's where there's going to be a lot of debate, right there. Should the state own things that private sector ordinarily owns?
And there's two things happening right now, and maybe some of this comes back to, we only have a couple of seconds, but this is sort of where Ned Lamont made his thing, is doing this kind of investment. So maybe he wants to take that state money and do what he did before.
He's not ordinarily that much of an interventionist, but the opportunity is there.
Well, we'll be watching it. And we'll be watching if there is a special session, and the Haar Runometer will continue to track as well.
It can't get higher.
99.5 next time he comes on.
Yeah, exactly.
Dan Haar, thank you so much for being with us.
Great to be here.